Why a simple formula redefined power? It fit on a single line. No complexity, no mystery. Just a simple formula that quietly shifted who held power and who did not. At first glance, there was nothing intimidating about it. No massive machinery, no elaborate infrastructure, no visible force. It was knowledge reduced to its most compact form, a relationship between elements that could be written, memorized, and shared. Yet within that simplicity lay a transformation far more disruptive than any physical invention. Power was no longer something you could see being built. It was something you could write down. For most of history, power came from land, labor, or force. Control meant ownership of territory, command of workers, or the ability to impose will through violence. Chemistry existed in the background, supporting production or craft, but rarely determining authority. This formula changed that balance. It demonstrated that mastery over reactions could outweigh mastery over geography. And once that realization took hold, power began migrating away from traditional centers toward those who understood the chemistry. To understand why this matters today, we need to look at how formulas differ from machines. A machine can be seized, destroyed, or restricted to a location. A formula cannot. It can be copied perfectly, taught repeatedly, and executed anywhere conditions allow. Chemistry turns knowledge itself into leverage, separating influence from physical possession. Once learned, a formula travels freely in minds and books, unconstrained by borders, customs, or walls. At first, the formula solved a practical problem. It made a reaction predictable, reliable, easy to reproduce. What had once required years of experience, specialized intuition, or favorable conditions could now be achieved by following instructions. Chemistry shifted from craft to protocol. That shift alone altered who could participate, lowering some barriers while raising others just as sharply. Industries reorganized quickly. Access to the formula meant access to production. Those who could apply it gained efficiency and consistency. Those who could not were left behind, regardless of resources. Barriers fell for some and rose sharply for others. Power shifted away from physical strength, capital, or location, and toward chemical understanding, favoring speed of learning over scale of ownership. This is where the story truly begins, with a simple formula that transformed chemistry into influence, and influence into a new kind of power that would quietly reshape the modern world. As the formula spread, its impact expanded far beyond chemistry itself. Knowledge became currency. Those who understood the reaction could reproduce results anywhere without massive infrastructure. Capability detached from scale. Small groups gained leverage once reserved for institutions. Chemistry compressed advantage, allowing expertise to outperform size. At first, this felt democratizing. Innovation accelerated. Control appeared to disperse. The formula allowed newcomers to challenge incumbents, enabling rapid experimentation and adaptation. Chemistry seemed to level the field by lowering barriers to entry and rewarding insight over inheritance. But formulas have no loyalty. Once shared, they move freely. Power did not concentrate where ethics were strongest, but where application was fastest. The reaction did not discriminate. It rewarded speed, scale, and replication. Those who could deploy it aggressively gained advantage, regardless of intention or consequence. This is where early tension emerged. The same formula that empowered progress also bypassed safeguards. Complex processes were reduced to steps. Oversight lagged behind adoption. What once required institutional review could now be replicated independently, faster than regulation could respond. Chemistry outpaced governance simply by being easier to apply than to restrain. As adoption intensified, the formula reshaped global dynamics. Supply chains reorganized around those who controlled application. Strategic dependencies formed not around raw materials, but around chemical capability. Regions without access to the knowledge fell behind, not because they lacked resources, but because they lacked literacy in the reaction. Chemistry had turned information into leverage. The formula itself became a silent border, separating influence from irrelevance. And once that separation formed, reversing became increasingly difficult. Power no longer flowed through visible assets, but through invisible understanding embedded in protocols, training, and institutional memory. The conflict deepened as the formula embedded itself into systems of control. What began as shared knowledge evolved into guarded advantage. Variations were protected. Access was restricted. Intellectual control replaced territorial control. Chemistry became strategy rather than support, shaping outcomes before decisions were ever made. This buildup carried emotional weight because the formula itself never changed. The reaction behaved identically wherever it was applied. The shift in power came entirely from how tightly that knowledge was held. Influence followed those who could apply it fastest and restrict it longest, not those who first discovered it. Governments and industries recognized the implications. Control over formula meant control over production, security, and economic influence. Decisions once governed by geography or manpower were now determined by chemical capability. Authority migrated toward those who understood reactions deeply enough to deploy them strategically and protect them legally. Attempts to regulate its use faced immediate resistance. Limiting a formula felt like limiting knowledge itself. Innovation clashed with restraint. Chemistry moved faster than policy frameworks designed for physical assets. By the time oversight appeared, influence had already shifted and consolidated. This marked the emotional peak. The realization that a single chemical relationship could concentrate power more effectively than armies or borders. That influence no longer required visibility. It flowed through reactions, dependencies, and systems quietly reshaped around them, often unnoticed until imbalance became undeniable. The formula had succeeded completely. It turned understanding into dominance. And once chemistry reached this point, power became less about possession and more about permission. Who was allowed to apply knowledge and under what conditions? The climax arrives with stark realization. Power had quietly shifted from those who controlled resources to those who controlled reactions. The simple formula did not force this change. It enabled it. Chemistry followed its rules faithfully, turning predictability into influence. Once reactions became portable through knowledge, power detached from place and attached itself to understanding. This moment reshaped how authority functions. Control no longer required ownership of land or machines. It required access, literacy, and permission. Chemistry rewrote the rules without ever announcing the change, leaving traditional structures struggling to adapt to a landscape where influence was invisible but absolute. The resolution lies in recognizing this new landscape. Power rooted in chemistry demands responsibility equal to its reach. Formulas cannot be uninvented, but their use can be guided. Transparency can counter concentration. Education can rebalance access. Governance must evolve to match the speed and portability of knowledge. This story is not about condemning knowledge. It is about acknowledging its weight. A single formula can alter economies, security, and opportunity when scaled without foresight. Chemistry does not seek power. It offers capability. What humanity builds on that capability determines whether influence becomes domination or shared progress. Every simple formula carries this choice, and once written, its consequences extend far beyond the page.